What's up, guys? Ace here, bringing you guys another card of the day, and today we've got a Commander Legends spoiled card, but today we're going to be talking about it as if it were a card that is out. Just because I'm going to do some speculation on this card and my thoughts about it and whatnot. I've done this a few times before with Zendikar Rising cards. I figured I'd do it again with Commander Legends cards to just get my take on the card and sort of fill my card of the day slot for the day. So anyways, today's card of the day is Opposition Agent, which is 2 and a black creature human rogue with flash. You control your opponents while they're searching their libraries. While an opponent is searching their library, they exile each card they find. You may play those cards as though they remain exiled, and you may spend mana of any color to cast them. 3/2. So I am somewhat of a ride or die mono white player, and one of the top cards that you play in a white deck, like one of the callings to white, is the stacks pieces. And one of those stacks pieces is the Bird Wizard himself, the Aven Mind Sensor, the Mind Censorer, okay? And this isn't only censoring your mind, this is censoring your whole world, okay? This card is nutty. Like, this card is absolutely crazy. The advantage of this over Aven Mind Center is too many to count, in the sense that Aven Mind Sensors is strong in the sense that not only does it stop your opponents from looking through all their library, so it saves time, it also stops your opponent from looking through your whole library, so they can look at the top 4 cards of the library. And they may just find what they want. Like, sometimes even Mind Sensor might not even prevent them from stopping looking through the library. And I say like that's a good thing for Aven Mind Sensor, but it's not. This is just a better version of what Aven Mind Sensor did. And white is still the card that does is still the color that does everything, just worse. And this is the fruition of that sort of idea, in that Opposition Agent completely nullifies searches. Not only does it nullify searches for the same amount of mana, it goes a step further. It nullifies their search, and it gives you card advantage. It gives you card advantage at the same. Okay, the only thing it doesn't have is flying, which is, I mean, I would totally trade that for flying. So there's a few crazy scenarios that actually are not that crazy, especially in EDH, that you find yourselves into. So in EDH, most decks are multicolor, and that most decks need some sort of tutoring to fix things. They need tutoring to fix their mana base. They need tutoring to look for cards. If you're playing at least mid power or some sort of competent power level, you will use tutors. And what this means is those tutors become nullified, and it means that the person who casts this spell, Opposition Agent, will search for anything they deem worthy to play for themselves from your deck. And it's not exclusively for that either. Like, they can tutor for, as long as the search criteria meets it, they can tutor for your combo pieces, rip that out of your deck, and you'll never see them again. And they can also tutor for these combo pieces to enable their own combo pieces and further their game plan. So this is kind of insane, because where Aven Mind Sensor might net you some sort of card that does meet the search criteria, and so you still don't lose parity even if someone flashed in an Aven Mind Sensor against you. This card means that Opposition Agent means that if you cast a Demonic Tutor and the person flashes an Opposition Agent, not only do you lose a card from your hand, you also give the person who has Opposition Agent the card that you may have gotten, or the card that they think is worth getting, and they're just up a card. They're up a card. So this card, and I don't think they're going to be in colors that won't be able to protect this. This card is going to be absolutely crazy. So this becomes one of those Ristic Study type effects that this card's power level is just so incredibly high, and especially the higher your power level. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I don't think anti-tutor cards are a bad thing. We've seen this a few times before in blue. We've seen this in, like, I think a lot of colors, actually. We've seen this in red. We've seen this in, I think a lot of colors have anti-tutor effects. I think this card is particularly stronger than most, if not all, the other anti-tutor effects, is that this has flash. And so the surprise factor is a big thing. And the fact that it says you can exile each card they find, tutors that tutor for multiple things become even better, because this is 3 mana. Like, say you Fire Mind's Insight or something, research, whatever that 3 mana, that it's like 7 mana tutor that searches for 3 cards. this becomes a 3 mana tutor for 3 things in that sort of scenario, right? This card, the ceiling for this card is just so incredibly high that Aven Mind Sensor, the bar at which Aven Mind Sensor becomes playable, is like over. This becomes over is better than Aven Mind Sensor in almost every particular way. Almost every particular way. Like the Aven Mind Sensor is not even comparable to this, which is kind of crazy to think about because we used to live in a format where Aven Mind Sensor was like the sort of standard for like good stacks pieces, and this is just the fruition, like I said, of white being the color that can do everything just worse. It can do everything just worse than everything else, which kind of sucks because like you felt like at first that I don't want this to become a video about white. I've talked about it extensively in past, what my thoughts about it white are. If I haven't, I'll do a video on it later. It's just like it kind of sucks because like there's no real reason to play white if everything else is just if white just gets shoehorned behind everything else, right? If you really want to play like twiddle your fingers in the middle of the room while everyone's at the grown-up table, it's like I guess you play white at that sense. But I don't know. This card is actually kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing either because I think this sort of card introduces a lot of scenarios where you play a lot slower, and perhaps you even like slow down your tutor effects, which in the end does make the game go slower, which in the end also alternatively, well not alternatively, as well creates slower games for EDH. I think that's a good thing because that does allow slower decks such as like Boros, red color, mono red, and those sort of colors, Orzhov. It lets those colors get back in the game. Like the slower games are better for those colors, right? It's a good thing. That's a good thing. Because if everyone's playing this, it's like, all right, you play less tutors, and I'm playing mono white. So I'm a relatively mono white ride or die sort of player, and I have very few tutors. And so because I have very few tutors, this just means it's not going to affect me much, but it will affect other people's. And so because they're playing against this card and they know like someone's going to pop this card up and they're playing a bunch of tutors, they're going to play against it. And I'm totally fine with playing them playing against it. Like I'm not playing that many tutors, if any at all. I'm also playing a lot of removal. And so this card generally won't be a problem for me. It's kind of crazy to think about. Like I think this is one of those format warping cards, such as like a Rhystic Remora or a Mystic Remora, or like a Rhystic Study. Like this card is 100% going to be a staple, which it's just weird to say because I've said this sort of thing. I think I call it how I see it. Like I said it with Skyclave Apparition. I'm gonna say it with this card, and that's weird too because Skyclave Apparition is a relatively tame, fair magic card. It's a sorcery speed removal card that does a Banisher Priest like effect at sorcery speed, and that's being played in like white decks and CEDH. It's being played in almost all formats that are playing Death and Tax variants or playing some sort of white who needs some sort of like white weenie removal type effect. It's being played in all those sorts of decks, and it's showing results. I remember someone arguing about this over Reddit, and I was like, "This card's gonna be pretty strong. It's a Banisher Priest effect that's really strong. It hits almost all relevant targets in their respective formats, and that's a really fair tame card, right? There's no card advantage. There's no. It's just 1-for-1 removal, but this is so much more. This is so much more in every case. And I don't see a deck where you play this and don't have protection for this. And so it becomes a game of, just a standstill, right? Like no one wants to play any of their tutors. It's essentially says your opponents can't tutor. Of course, you get the first tutor because obviously you're playing at flash speed. But other than that, this is if people are tutoring into this, it's kind of crazy to think about, right? Some tutor effects are mandatory. Like I don't think there are too many, but like fetches, like it stops fetches hard, right? You can't do it like people aren't gonna play into it that much. But, like your first effect is gonna be a free card, like it nets a card for itself. Other than that, like after that, this card is pretty much gonna be dead thinking about it. Like hopefully there's enough removal to remove this. But other than that, like this card it's good. It's the window of like a strong playable stacks piece has increased, and I think this just makes it harder for a white and like red and colors in those variants or variation of those color combinations to catch back up to the strength of what a color should have, because not only are the other colors still keeping pace with, I think, previous sort of effects that they've had, the colors that are getting new cards like a Keeper of the Accord, they're they're not being pushed as hard as they need to fall back in line with these other colors, these bug colors, right? So it's eh, eh. I don't know, boys. Like, this card is good or it's really good. I think I'm kind of bordering on really good because the fact that it stops tutors and you get your first effect for free. But imagine like being able to force someone to tutor, like Scheming Symmetry, or I don't know. It's yeah, it's a good card. Anyways, tell me what you guys think about this in the comment section below. I think I've rambled on too much, but yeah, I would like to see what you guys think about this in the comment section below, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out, guys.